Hey, it's Nancy Blanchard here from sunny San Jose, California. And it is Tuesday, and you are listening to and watching the AV Life.
Hey, James King here, writer for the Higher Ed Digital Magazine, the IT and AV column, HEPMA board member, co-host of Ask the Programmer. You Google me, you'll find me, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
And I am your host, Tim Van Wert from Rutgers University and HETMA and higheredav.com and from wherever else you might find me. And you are watching and listening to the AV Life. And yes, we are back. And as you can tell, we are a small group tonight, but that is okay. We are wishing healthy vibes to our fellow crew members who are just a little under the weather today. And we wish them to get back real fast. Yeah, so before we get into the topic, actually I'm going to plug myself again. I am presenting at the E4 Experience Conference in Teaneck, New Jersey on September 20th. You will hear this episode before that date. So if you haven't registered yet, please register for that. Myself and the infamous Jimmy Singleton will be presenting. I'll be talking about our big school of engineering that we just put in, and we'll be talking about the technology and really engaging students and bringing them back into the classroom, and how we're doing that. So and as I'm making myself famously quoted about, we're putting butts in the seats. So it's, but James and Nancy, how we all doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing well.
Doing
Good.
peachy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're like on the verge of vacation there, Nancy.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm getting so excited.
I would be too. I'm still weeks away from mine, so
Mickey,
it's
Mickey, Mickey.
Mickey.
Excited about it. Well, it's also the
Yes.
international travel, and I love doing it with the boys. So my boys.
Mm,
So, but it's just pushing them. Okay, you got to start packing. You have to start planning because I
yep.
used to do it all. And now
Hmm.
I'm trying to, you know, give it off to them. And it's making me nervous.
I I still get nervous when I pack my bags by myself. Like and I'm 43. Like I do a good job, but there's always that little fear in me that I forgot something, you know. Like I think when we went to Orlando, I forgot my water bottle. Like that, like of all the things to forget, I forgot my water bottle. Like everything else was packed away in my suitcase, but I forgot my water bottle. So there's
So
always something.
I don't know. I think maybe I'm a mean parent or something, but I kind of make sure my kids take care of themselves when they pack. Uh, Kind of chop this up from youth sports. We travel for games and stuff. And I have told them from early on, you don't have it, you don't play. Like, we're not going to out and go buy you new gear or something like that. So
Me,
you need to
Dad.
make sure you have it. And they have learned that they don't have it, they don't play. And so they make sure they bring everything.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
guess it's Virgo.
I'm starting to get that way with my son for like the things he wants to play with in the car. Like, packing like clothes and stuff like that. We're still doing that. But yeah, it's like that same logic, James. Is like if you want it, make sure it's in the bag. Otherwise, that's it. You know. And I am realizing though now that like the bag size is now getting bigger for the things that need to go along. It's like I had this cute little blue Walmart tote that was like it just fit exactly what he needed, a few toys and whatnot. But now it's like, okay, we're taking last year's backpack and we're filling that. It's like, okay. So yeah, the amount of stuff is going larger. And we're driving for our next trip, so I got to make sure that the car is prepared for him to hang out in the back seat for 16 hours or whatever the ride is. So,
Those are
but
fun.
yeah, no, and he's done it before. He's a well-traveled kid. So or like for that wise, like he's fine being in the car and all that stuff. So So yeah, it's just, and I'm excited just for the road trip in general. So I like that, you know. Although I will say the part I like the most is actually kind of like driving past like the bigger cities and seeing them from a distance. So like when we drive past Washington, DC, I prefer the late night because you actually get to drive through DC as opposed to around DC. So, and getting to see all the monuments and everything lit up at night is awesome.
So I have to agree. I do like that about a cityscape. Like I was
Mhm.
never a big city person. Long story there, but anyway, like even now, like me still being here for a year in Vegas, like my daughter's soccer practice is a little out away from the city. So when we come back, we're up a higher elevation, and we'll on the highway. You can see the city, and it's so cool, especially at night coming in. And now you got the spear, so we see like the whole strip lit up and the spear lit up. It's pretty cool, actually.
That is cool. Yeah, I like all the thematic things that the sphere has been doing. I don't know why I'm having trouble with that sphere that SPH sound, but anyway, um that like they had well it was like a tennis ball the other day, right? For the US
Yep,
Open. I thought that
yep,
was
tennis
really
ball.
cool.
They're
Yeah,
doing NFL logo helmets going around. I saw that today.
that's
Well,
cool.
I posted tonight on Twitter. It was uh, from Sound Guys, Video Guys, or something. I can't even remember because I got way too much on my mind, as you know. And they were doing a test in the sphere, and it was a huge elephant
Yep, I saw
walking
that.
through, and it just blows your mind. I know that it's not as big, but Tim, it reminded me of like soaring over California.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Where it's large, the screen, and you feel like you're
Hmm.
actually there. And that was the same as with the sphere. I mean, there are so many applications that they can use for that.
Hmm.
Not just concerts, but boy, it's endless.
Well,
Yeah.
that's their plan, is to make it a experiential center. Like even
Mm.
they each I actually learning now that it's not every seat, but apparently there's a large section that actually they brought piping and stuff in, that they'll pipe in fog and vibrate the seats and all that stuff, so you really immerse in
Mm.
the environment.
That's
That's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
Well, and going off the experiential experiential piece. Um so today was the Apple announcement, their annual Apple event thing. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I only caught parts, and I caught the very beginning where they were talking about Apple Watch 9 and the Ultra Watch 2. And then I caught the end when they were starting to talk about the new iPhone, about iPhone 15. And the new Pro 15 is supposed to do spatial video. It's actually doing a dual camera video, so you get that spatial feeling. So that way it translates to the Apple goggles or whatever it is. So you have that. So it's something that's happening. Like it's definitely becoming more of a thing to even be brought into the home. And I think we've all known that this is coming for a while, but
That's the same with these elements that come out. Like we look at the spear, and again, this is all I'm hearing from sidebar, so I can't say 100. All the information I'm getting is 100% factual, but my understanding is the spear video is 16 or 18K. You have to, if you're coming to present something on that screen, it has to be in that format. They will not allow
mhm,
you to have anything else, so you have to be in their special format to be on there. So either these venues that are, who want to have shows and concerts and whatever going on at this venue have to go out and buy this gear, or they might have to hire people from the Sphere to come and do their content creation for them. That's just like, to me, I think it's cool because you get the wow factor, but now you're just adding to the cost.
Mhm.
Because think about it, I mean, ticket prices are gonna probably be crazy for the Sphere to cover, first off, their
Well,
double their budget, and second off is you're gonna tell, well, we'll pick on you too, because they're open air. You're gonna tell you too, you gotta go out and make this 18K content to play on our special stream that they can't use anywhere else
Right.
yet. Give, I mean, soon they probably could, but
I'm sure they could, but yeah. Right. I mean, you're making yourself a profit line. It's like you
on the
you want to
backs
be
of your
here.
clients, the
Yeah.
back of your users. So that's the
Mhm.
one thing that irks me. Like, you're really putting it on the back of your users.
That's true. Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of interesting because like that sort of immersive product was very much a pro AV thing that's now becoming more residential. And I feel like we're really starting to blur those lines a little bit now of where those are happening. And it's not just that easy of going from, you know, it's not just that cut and clear. Like there are things now that are starting to happen. I mean, and Nancy, you were kind of, we were talking about this a little bit as we were getting started tonight, about that, where there's that blurred line of commercial versus residential, and um so I mean, if you want to speak to that a little bit, and we can, we'll talk a little bit about that tonight.
yeah, I was just saying that I had heard about how, especially, with COVID, some residential integrators were able to stick with it. Others, unfortunately, had to close shop and then go work for other commercial integrators. But
Mm,
now what's happening is that not only are they doing the residential, but they're doing light commercial. And the first thing I thought about was, well, as a manufacturer, because you do have defined lines, defined divisions. So if you get your residential dealer who all of a sudden is doing commercial and they're using commercial products, well, how does that work? Are you going to now assign them as a commercial dealer?
mm,
Or will their means be that they'll have to go through distribution? Um, and then, and if you do assign them as a commercial dealer, well, then you have all of the other established dealers that would then be questioning it of, well, why all of a sudden is there this preferential treatment?
mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking
That's
about it because you think, you've got the companies, you've got executives. So now they've got home offices. Is
mm,
it that they're going to work through their residential integrators, or is it the company that's going to buy it? So now all of a sudden they're losing out on that revenue potential
right.
because it's going
Well,
through the corporation.
right. And that's the thing. We've now blurred that line of the extended, corporate world, as it were, or however you want to look at that, the commercial world,
Yeah.
and and even from a higher ed perspective, we don't necessarily, some of us aren't looking at the large manufacturers anymore. The fact that we get, would call ourselves like an Extron house or a Crestron house or something like that. It's not necessarily the way anymore. It's like that is, we are able to branch out into these other manufacturers that may be a little bit more niche. Maybe they've just a quality product that meets those needs that we're specifically looking for.
And did that
It's
come from COVID because of the
uh,
supply chain, or
uh
what was the
I mean,
change?
so a little bit of supply chain, a little bit of um just the changing needs of how we operate. Being able to reach out and touch a device over the network, and a lot of, like in my case, we have a lot of things that are developed in house. So I don't necessarily want to bring in another manufacturer's tracking software to keep tabs on product when I have one that does a very good job that we control, and I don't have to, I pay my application developer, but I don't have to pay for it on a regular basis,
Yeah.
and it's easy to secure behind our authentication servers, and there's no, it's so much, it's simpler for me in that respect. So, and yeah,
So what are you looking
I'm
at? Are you
potentially,
looking at APIs or something, uh, to be able to incorporate
so
with
yeah,
their product
I'm
and then
looking
yours?
for an open API. I'm looking for, uh, you know, RS-232 is okay. I prefer IP control at this point. I'm trying to simplify my installs. Um, and we're not quite at an AV over IP solution yet. So I'm looking just local control. Like I don't need to go out into and we've talked about this before. The Rutgers network is a little bit on the, I don't want to say older side, but it's because of the way we've grown over the decades. Our network has grown in that way too. So you've got like layers upon layers upon layers. And as much as I would love to just have a singular network to run all my stuff on, that's not the case. We're
Yeah.
not designed like that. So, I know for certain applications, I'm going to need to go to AV over IP, but for my basic classroom, I need a 4-port HDMI switch with 2 HDBaseT out. Like that's kind of all I need, really. And yeah, if I could control it over IP and, have that API available to me to be able to do all the little things I need to do, then that's what I needed to do. And I needed to come in at the price point that I need with a 3 to 5 year warranty. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
You sound like you should be on eBay with all of your requirements and
You know
here's
what
the
though?
price, and if you can meet it, fine.
Oh, and that's the thing. We've talked about, I feel like I'm a broken record tonight in a way, but we've talked about this before. The manufacturers that have been very successful with higher ed have met us where we need to be. It's like if this is what if these are what the expectations are, then that's what we needed to do. And then also, if down the line we're going, hey, can it do this as well? It looks like it should. And then you say, hey, yeah, I think we could do that. Then, and you provide that to us, you've won yourself a customer,
I
and
firmly, and I've worked for manufacturers, I really do believe that the most important thing is listening to the customer.
Mhm.
And you get manufacturers that will say, well, but they want everything and anything. Okay. Well, it's a give and take relationship. It's compromise. So listen to what the needs are because they're the ones, their customers, your teachers, your profs have to use it. And just listen to it and see if maybe there's a viable connection of where you both can come to an agreement. But you're not producing something that everybody says, oh, well, that's great, but I really don't know how the heck I'd use it.
Hmm. Right.
Case in point. No, but I mean, it just it boggles my mind that manufacturers aren't more open to having some type of relationship with the client and to
Mhm.
listen to what their frustrations are, what they believe would be, would simplify the process and things,
Mhm.
and then, work together.
Right.
There's too
And
many
I
where they all of a sudden think, the engineers, oh, well, you know
mhm.
what? I think this would be good. You
Right.
produce it and it's like, no, or it's
Right.
late to the game.
And I will say one of the great applications of that is the HETMA approved program. Actually,
Yeah.
that's the best thing, and we've got so many of the manufacturers that have been successful with getting their product through there. And then even if it's not, they get the real feedback as to why.
Yeah.
And then it gets resubmitted. So it's like So, I mean, that's,
I
James,
totally
I mean,
agree with that. I think that's
yeah.
a wonderful program. There used to be a fair amount, and there may be, where you had end user focus groups.
Mhm,
I know from the tech, like from NVIDIA and Apple and that, I know those and they have them and they're very resourceful. I don't know how much of that is actually done in our industry because I haven't run across honestly any companies that are doing it.
mhm.
I mean, have you had manufacturers that have approached you?
James, I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, we have. So I have a probably a unpopular take on this
Go
is
ahead.
we're seeing a power change. So prior the old school, let's just say the old school was all the power was in manufacturers and integrators' hands. They became partners and they drove, integrators would come in and be like, you must buy all this products. You have to install this for be a cutting edge or be a competitive, or this is the latest and greatest in higher ed. Now we have more, and wasn't even not even say higher, let's just say this is the latest and greatest in AV. Now we have more educated, more skilled tech managers. I'm using the word tech managers because we are not always the true end users. We're the
Mhm,
middle people. And we're calling BS on some of this stuff that's being thrown at. And now the power is switching. And you do see it. HEPMA is bringing in that, of course, with the approved program. We see the power that HEPMA has, but it's a power shift. We're going from, the integrator and manufacturer and go, we're going to partner, we're going to sell, a billion widget of Y for brand X. But now you see the users or the tech managers and go, no, I'm not putting that widget in my environment because X, Y, and Z. And it used to be like, well, you have to. Now they're well, like Tim said, well, we're going to other people because we know better. We are
mhm.
more educated. We are taking some of that power back, and you're going to see this. And manufacturers are seeing it. Integrators are seeing it, and the ones who are wise about it, both on manufacturer integrators, are becoming the ones who are partners or who are listening to us, who are working with us to come up with solution, not sitting here on their sands and saying, well, no, you must buy this. No, it has to be configured this way. You must go through these channels because you know what? Just like I keep saying that AV is getting bypassed in IT because IT doesn't wait. Us tech managers, we're not going to play that game either.
Mm-mm.
We're moving on, and we're not going to be like, well, this is old school. We're going to nope. Sorry, you don't meet what we need. We're moving on.
Right.
So how do you
And
guys handle integrators that are comfortable with certain manufacturers? And so of course that's what they're going to spec.
well, and
You
that's
having a
where,
voice to say, you know what? No, we've researched ABC and we feel that we would like to go with them.
right. So we're at the point now where we've worked with integrators to be like, here's our standards. This is what you have to use. Like, this is what we use in 305 classrooms. This is what you're going to use. So, and having an in-house team of installers is a huge step in that too, because I'm now using an integrator on 5% of any job I'm doing. So it's usually things like for a new building or something like that. But yeah, they get the standards. It's like, here's the standards.
Yep.
Unless it
This is
absolutely has to deviate, that's it.
this is where a clear document comes in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And because back in my old job, we were that we to not even just AV, like the school was so detailed in what they would go in that they're like I would tell people like I can care less if you went to Best Buy and bought it, but it had to be this model number, this brand, this model number. I can care less where you got it from, but this is what
Mm-hmm.
it has to be. And I actually remember being at a project, a new building, and it was a meeting, and I walked in. We haven't gotten to the AV side yet. They were actually the general contractor is talking about door knobs and door hinges, and he's like, "Well, I see you spec these. Well, we can save. I'm using an alternative number. I don't remember 250,000 if we switch to these brand." And our lock shop goes, "No, you're not switching." And the guy's like, "Why not? We use these all the time." And the lock shop is like, "Yeah, we use them too. They break after 6 months. You're not switching. You have to use these brand." And
Hmm.
GC was not happy about it, but they were forced to use that brand.
I will
Again,
say
I
that,
said it's a power. I think there's a power move, and we're seeing that.
yeah. And I will say it is rough when it gets to be outside of our purview, like the locks and the lights and shade controls and things like that. Because that's the bigger issue, for at least from our perspective, is like there's little things. Like I would love to be able to control all the lights in a classroom, and I know like if I use Lutron, it's gonna work. If I use what's one of the
AMX?
other AMX, um, you know, uh
James
ETC.
likes
Yep.
any of
AMX,
those
so
any
that's
of
why I
those
threw that
guys,
in.
yeah, any of those.
Yep.
I know it's going to work. Like I know the control box, I could talk to it, whatever RS-232 could be, IP, whatever it might be. It's going to work. I can call the scenes I need to do. It's easy to program. It'll work. And then, but there's no standard on lighting at the university. So I could get Lutron, I could get Enlight, I could get some third other party that I have no idea about. And then you have to learn things from scratch to get things to work. And then they fail because then we don't have the knowledge base or the support to be able to do that. And our electricians on campus can only do so much.
Yeah.
So, because they're also running around just taking care of, basic stuff on top of everything else.
So what's
So,
important to you guys is remote management then?
I
yeah,
wouldn't say that's
to
the
an
most
extent,
important.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
But
nice. It's nice secondary things,
to me, what's most important is reliability.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that the product is going to work. It's going to meet the needs. It's going to be reliable. We know in technology things fail. I mean, I still remember having this conversation back when I was just doing regular computer repair. I bought a brand new Western Digital hard drive, threw it in the computer, and it was dead. It was DOA. And the guy was like, "Well, it's a Western Digital. It shouldn't be." I'm like, well, technology fails. They probably have a 1% failure rate. I just happen to got that 1%. But the company stood behind their product. I got a replacement. They got up and running. It's getting these, okay, even though the product fails, if the company is not going to stand behind their product, and then I got to jump through hoops to get a replacement, or I have to wait 6 months for something to come in, that is not a good partner in my eyes.
Right.
So that reliability, like Tim and I had this conversation. We had a manufacturer, I'm not going to drop names here, that was spot on. I could pick up the phone, call my rep, and have any product I needed right away.
Mhm.
They bent over backward for us. We even had a point where we were at my old school where we were at a point we had a fair amount of these one model in production. Well, it turned out that model had a defect in it.
Mhm.
And the company was very good. We would call them up, be like, "Hey, this went out. Here's the problem." They're like, "Okay." They would send a new unit overnight, swap it out, good to go. And
Smaller
then got
company,
to
James?
what?
Smaller
Uh,
company?
Mm-mm.
no, it's a big name company,
Oh,
very
okay.
Big
big name
name.
company.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Got to the point where I went to my rep. I was like, "Look, the advanced replacement's great. You're overnighting. This is great, but still, we can't have that downtime." So the rep goes, "Not a problem. Here's 3 units. Keep on your
Yep.
shelf." So he put brand new 3 units sitting on a
Mhm.
shelf. Second one, because it was a known issue, but it wasn't like you could know when it would happen or guaranteed it would happen. It was just like, okay, this is a high chance of it happening. So we kept 3 of their products on our shelf. When a unit went down, we did the swap because the swap didn't take long, sent the defective one out, new one came in, sat on itself, and we were
Yep.
able to do the rotation.
And we got a similar situation at Rutgers, and we also worked with the manufacturer, and they helped us out with an integrator and did a full swap for us.
Yep.
Because they knew that some of the locations that the equipment were high priority rooms, so they needed to be operational. So they were like, we want to make sure they wanted to make sure it was right for us. And yeah, it was. And then I got the same thing. I got the 3 extra on a shelf that we were able to, and they're still we're actually, it's funny, we're at the 5-year point now, and we're almost at the 5-year point. I think November is 5 years, and they're still standing by it till this moment. So
Another, again, chop to the company that I had my last project before I moved west. It was a small project. It was not a huge project. But it requires special equipment, and the manufacturer that we deal with could get that equipment that they wanted. And they actually came out, the company, the user who was going to use it, they weren't sure. They're like, we don't know we want to do this. So I'm like, no problem. I called the company. I was like, hey, look, come on, show them what it'll look like, because they knew it was going to be costly. So they came out, they hooked it up, and that was a selling point. They're like, yes, all right, we'll find the money. We know it's going to be costly. We'll find the money to do it. And so we went through the whole quoting process. And, higher ed, we got to go over 3 quotes and all that stuff. I got this one quote. Before I was even done reading the quote and could process what happened, the manufacturer rep was calling me. He's like, did you just read blah and blah's quote? I'm like, I just got done. He's like, you're getting a steal there. He's like, I see what happened there. They on their quote, they put the right part number, the wrong price.
Oh,
The really bad wrong price. Like $5,000 less price. And he's like, I already called them and told them they need to honor it.
wow.
He's like, I don't care that they're losing money. He's like, I told them they have to honor that quote. Yeah.
See, and
So, I mean, like I said, that's a partner that I will go to bat for anytime. One who will go to bat for me. Now, do we use that company where I am now? No, we don't. But again, I'll sing praises to anyone I've actually given that contact to other people who need it.
Wow.
See, and that's we talk about that relationship. The relationship is what matters, and that even though it may not, like James was saying, may not extend into another position or something like that, but you were still, by maintaining that relationship, you still leave your options open in your area. So anyway, so yeah, kind of coming around to it, because we got a little off track with it, but everything
we
made sense.
did. Sorry.
But that's fine. No, it's okay. It was all great conversation.
No, it was. It
But
was
yeah,
good.
we're becoming savvy, and I think it's across. It's not. There's the educated consumer is a very real thing now. That's kind of like the short of it all. You don't have just the IT director who's like, put in whatever you think is best. It's like, nope, doesn't work like that anymore. Getting certifications is easy. Doing your research is easy. Staying on top of products, it sounds like a lot, but it's all at our fingertips now. I could sit here and watch videos on dB levels and sound masking, and it's based on a conversation we had just before. you know, it's easy to do it. We may not have the time, but we can get to the information.
So I just want to add a clarification.
Mhm.
I know what you're trying to say, Tim, but I just want to make it clear to the listeners is by easy doesn't mean like anybody can go get the certification. By
No,
easy, it
sorry.
means
I
yes,
apologize. Yeah.
it is the roadblocks are not there that preventing us from getting those certifications that used to be there. Because I could tell people like, oh, anyone can go get that certification. That's not valid then. But
That's not
I
what.
knew
Yeah,
what you
sorry.
meant, Tim.
Thank
Yep.
you for that clarification. I was on a roll and
Yeah.
I didn't circle back on that. So
See, and the way I took it was when you said simple, I think about, like your professors and things, and from reading on Twitter now of where it's like, no, just plug your laptop in, boom, go. You don't want to be fuddling around with while you have a lecture. I have a sibling, she teaches at St. John's College in New York, and I can't tell you how many times she's posted on Facebook about her frustrations with technology and things and how much time is wasted. So I see from you guys is that yes, you want a standard, you want something that's going to be simplistic. It doesn't have to be this whole big shebang like the
Mhm.
sphere for the professors. They don't want to play with technology. Just they want to go in, plug it in their laptop and be able to teach and walk
Exactly.
out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
ultimately that's we were having that conversation. It's funny you bring that up because we were just having that conversation. It's like, what does it take just to do that part and then to satisfy our back end piece? And that's all we need.
Yeah.
Yep.
So go ahead. Were you about to say
Oh,
something, James?
I was just gonna say is that's what we tech managers aim for is making it that as I told my users and I've told everyone this is the AV, the technology in the classroom should not they shouldn't have to think about it. It's a tool for them to use to
Yeah.
educate their students. Second, you have to think about the AV, then it's a problem. And that
Mhm.
we don't want. And that's why Tim, me, and folks like us have jobs. So we can get to that point and think about the technology so our users do not need to think about the technology. They walk in, they just use it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that was a great conversation there, and that actually puts us at a perfect time to start to wrap things up here. Um, and so yeah, so thanks Nancy and James for being here tonight. I think this is a great. Sorry, I've seen Twitter things pop up on my screen, and just I get so distracted so easily. Um,
Squirrel.
yeah, exactly. Maybe I do need this Disney thing to take my mind off of everything and just then come back with better focus. But yeah, I look forward to we got some good episodes coming out over the next couple weeks. So keep an eye out, keep like, subscribe, follow as we always say out there. For all the social media pieces. And as always, till our next adventure.